So, yeah, let's look at... Yeah, I have some experience with when it comes to, like, paramedicine. No, I was not a paramedic, but I do have, like, some training in regards to this field. So I am familiar with some of this. I'm not sure how much of it I'll be familiar with, but I know some of it. So let's see what these... First of all, I have no idea what the first aid myths... Bear in mind, I have no idea what these quote-unquote myths are, but this should be interesting. So, let's get started.
You should clean your wounds with rubbing alcohol.
Ow.
Ouch!
Slap a choking person on the back.
Yeah, not really working. After getting...
Okay. I'm gonna do it... How deeply are they gonna get into this? Okay, this is just the intro. I'll wait till they actually get into it before commenting.
Object from the body.
Oh,
This
no.
is from movies. This is stupid. Don't do this. Hi, my name is Randy Lee. I'm a paramedic here in New York City, and I've been working EMS for 11 years.
Hi, my name is Lorena Concepcion Martinez. I am a paramedic here in New York City, also with Randy, for the past 19 years.
And today we'll be debunking myths about first aid.
Ready?
Let's go.
If someone gets a concussion, keep them awake. This is an old wives' tale.
Yes, it is.
They associated someone having a concussion and going into a coma and not being able to wake up. So that's why they used to say to keep everybody awake.
Now, we have figured out that the sleeping does not cause the coma. When someone has a concussion, it is considered a type of TBI, traumatic brain injury. You do want to monitor them, though. You want to make sure there's no deficit, no changes. So things you're going to be looking out for would be slurred speech, vomiting, unsteady gait, which means you're like wobbly when you walk.
A little dizzy.
Yeah, you don't want any of that. So if you think...
I'd say probably some of the most common that you're going to get from a TBI very likely is the last three. Slurred speech, certainly. But I think these last three are the most common, particularly the vomiting. This part, I think is if someone starts vomiting from a TBI, that's serious, and definitely need to try and get them into medical care as soon as possible. Unsteady walking and dizziness. It could be easy, like, when you conk yourself on the head, there's going to be some natural unsteady walking due to dizziness. You know, that's kind of normal, so it's kind of lumped in here. The slurred speech, yeah, absolutely, but I don't think that is going to be... I would wager it's not as commonplace. This one is the one where if someone hits their head and they start throwing up, that's where you should be going, oh shit, we need to get the medical care fast. This one, the unsteadiness and walking, if it does not clear up reasonably quickly, also a concern. Like, having unsteadiness and dizziness, because they kind of go hand in hand, is kind of normal for the first, like, minute or so after someone gets whacked on the head. It's to be understandable. If it does not clear up, then it's like, okay, we've got to... If it doesn't clear up after a minute or two, then it's like, okay, we need to look for care. Vomiting, get help immediately. If somebody hits their head and they start vomiting, yes, get them help immediately. And thank you for the follow, Fox.
Think that's a problem and it's not self-resolving, then yeah, take them to the hospital, let them do a CAT scan, let them make sure that the patient's not having an internal bleed in their brain. You should put something into the mouth of someone having a seizure.
No. Fucking hell no. Not unless you want to get your fingers bitten off. The old wives' tale is put a spoon in someone's mouth. For the love of God, don't do that. It's not how they would necessarily how they would choke Raven, although that is a legitimate concern. It's more like if you put something in their mouth, your fingers might get bitten off because they may be clamping down their teeth uncontrollably. Their muscles will literally contract with everything they've got. And they might bite your fingers off. Or if you put an object like a spoon or something, they can shatter their teeth on it because they're obviously not going to be biting through metal. Yeah, that is the myth, to keep them from, quote, biting off their own tongue or swallowing their tongue. That is the myth. No, the thing to do, which this paramedic probably will tell you, is if someone has a seizure, just do the best you can to try and keep them from hurting themselves by flailing around. Do the best you can to not put anything in their mouth. Just kind of try and hold them down by their shoulders and let them ride out the seizure. And just try and keep them from flailing into objects or something that could hurt them. That's the only thing you can do. There is literally nothing else you can do. Don't put anything in their mouths. Don't even try and hold their head still, because they may try and forcibly wrench their head without intending to. It's just, yeah, try and keep them away from anything that could be dangerous to them and let them ride it out. Resin, not during the seizure. During the seizure, you'll when they are postictal, which is once the seizure is complete, then you can roll them onto their side and put them into the recovery position in case they vomit. During the seizure itself, don't bother trying to roll them onto their side. Just basically, try and hold them down by the shoulders and let them ride out the seizure. And then once they go postictal, you place them in the recovery position, which is on their side. Zeb, you can, but be careful, because if they're whacking their head, they might crush your hand underneath. You can certainly try and put a soft pillow or something underneath their head. That is certainly fine. Yes, you certainly can try and do that.
Negative. This is a major no-no. This is another old wives' tale of people thinking that the patient having the seizure was going to swallow their tongue. It's more muscle spasms and clenching of the jaws, so you don't really have to worry about the patient swallowing the tongue or anything along those lines.
That whole time you were talking, I tried to swallow my tongue. I couldn't do it. So it's not true. When someone's having a seizure...
Alright, well, just for clarity, he said I was trying to swallow my own tongue. I can't do it. I'm thinking he was probably just joking. Swallowing your tongue, what that means is when someone is unconscious, the reason why the CPR does the head tilt chin lift is to basically is to cause the tongue to lift out of the weight of the air passage. So the whole thing of swallowing your tongue is where the tongue lies flat against the air passage, against the air passage in your mouth. Because, chat, when you breathe, you are not breathing through the back of your throat. That is not how you breathe. The way you breathe is underneath your tongue is the opening to your windpipe. That is where the opening to your windpipe is. It's actually underneath your tongue, not the back of your throat where you swallow when you're eating. There's two different openings. It's not like when you're breathing, you're sucking in air and it's going into the back of your throat like when you eat, and then it's splitting on the way down. No, that's not true. The esophagus is where food goes. The windpipe is through two openings underneath your tongue. That's where the windpipe is. And that's where when you get intubated, they go underneath your tongue, and that's how they gain access to the windpipe. So the swallowing of the tongue thing is to make sure that your tongue is not laying flat against the opening of your windpipe on the bottom of your mouth. That's what that's referring to. So you aren't actually going to gulp down your tongue. It's just a play on words.
They're having these fasciculations, this tightening of the muscles. What'll happen is they'll clench to their jaw, and if you put something in their mouth, they'll break their teeth, they'll break their jaw.
Bite your finger off.
Yeah, don't do it.
You also want to let the seizure pass. You want to make sure once they've stopped, you can roll them on their side and just kind of be supportive until EMS arrives to help.
Most seizures will resolve themselves after, say, 30 seconds to a minute, but if you have something called status epilepticus.
The patient will end up having continuous seizures, which will affect their breathing. That point is where you need the advanced medical care, advanced life support, paramedics like Randy and I,
you as a civilian will not be able to do anything.
Actually try to subside the seizures and transport the patient to the hospital as quickly as possible.
Slap a choking person on the back.
This myth does come from how you treat an infant or a child that.
Okay, I'm going to offer, they are correct, but I'm going to do an offer of a gimme for people that believe this, because rough blows on the back is actually something that for a very long time has been taught in professional classes on how to deal with a choking victim. For a very long time, this is what was taught, is not only with infants, but like with regular, like in CPR classes, they also teach you how to handle a choking victim in giving the Heimlich maneuver. That's also often taught in CPR and first aid classes, and that was very often taught as one of the steps. The first thing you do is like 3 or 5 solid blows on the back to try and dislodge any obstructing object. So, like, she's saying it's an old wives' tale. It's not an old wives' tale. It was legitimately taught in CPR and first aid classes for a very long time as the first step before you go to the Heimlich maneuver. Now, it's just forget the blows to the back. Literally just go straight to the Heimlich maneuver if someone is legitimately, like, choking where they cannot breathe. If they can partially breathe, if they are quote-unquote choking, but they're still breathing and they're coughing, then, like, a blow on the back can help them to, cough it up. Cough whatever the object is up. But if they are flat out, it's obstructed and they're just mouth moving, they can't make any sound, they're not coughing, forget the blows in the back, you go straight to the Heimlich maneuver. But it's not no wives' tale. That was something that was actually taught in first aid for a long time. The several strikes to the back before Heimlich.
It is choking because we do back slaps, as we call them, in an infant or a child. But in adult, you want to emphasize on doing the Heimlich maneuver.
Wait, hold on, I have a thing for this. So, imagine this guy's choking. We're gonna try the back slap thing.
Yeah, not really working. If you come across a person choking, try to encourage them to keep coughing. So Randy here is gonna show you the universal choking sign, which is,
They won't be smiling, clearly, but, they'd be like this.
That's the universal choking sign. Do not, I stress do not, give them anything to drink. You want them to keep coughing until they clear that airway. And if it becomes completely obstructed, that they can't get any air movement, they can't speak, and they start turning blue, it's time for that Heimlich and definitely 911.
Depending on who you follow, the protocol for treating choking is a little bit different. The American Red Cross recommends 5 back blows followed by 5 abdominal thrusts, and repeat. But Lorena and I follow the American Heart Association protocols, so we go straight to the abdominal thrusts.
When you're doing the abdominal...
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, is the American Red Cross that's done like public first aid for people like that work in retail stuff. They'll have like they'll send people to first aid for first aid training. Usually it's the American Red Cross. I know for where I am, there was, at least when I was in Newfoundland, it was the St. John Ambulance Services. They will teach you 5 back blows and then do the abdominal thrusts. But the back blows don't really do a lot. So yeah, it actually was taught in first aid.
Heart Association protocols, so we go straight to the abdominal thrusts.
When you're doing the abdominal thrust, like the old name of the Heimlich maneuver, you're gonna make a fist. So this goes right to the navel, just slightly above. You're gonna do a pulling up motion like a J. And you're gonna squeeze with a lot of force. So unlike the movies and stuff, this actually takes a lot of effort. You can't just do it in one shot. You're gonna be really tired doing this, and it's probably gonna hurt the person as well, but it's better than them choking to death. Good. There you go.
When you do this, please make sure to keep your head to the side, because if not, the patient will bang you on your nose, and you might end up with a bloody nose.
Boom.
Always suck the venom out of a snake
Oh,
bite.
God. Yeah. This don't work, chat. If a snake bites you and they have venom, that venom is already in their bloodstream. You ain't sucking it out. It's not even like it's how you poison yourself. You can't. It doesn't work. The venom is already it's already racing through the bloodstream. You have to remember that blood flows through your veins very quickly. I forget how many times your blood fully circulates throughout your system in a single day, but you'd be surprised at how often your blood is flowing very quickly. And there is no way for you to be able to suck out poison. It's not like it sits at the bite mark and pools there. No. The minute the venom hits your blood, it's going on a roller coaster ride. So you're not sucking out. Wolfie, you said it best. Tourniquet. If you can tourniquet the neck. No, Raven. No. Bad. No tourniqueting the neck. But a tourniquet can help if you can apply it immediately after the bite. If you are even a couple of minutes post-bite, like 5 minutes post-bite, tourniquet's not going to work. It's already making its way throughout the bloodstream, and a tourniquet's not going to work. At that point, you need to just get help and get antivenom into that patient as fast as possible. Thank you, Zen. Yeah, so your blood fully circulates through your system 1,000 times a day. Think of how fast that is. Yeah, so a tourniquet, if you can apply it immediately after the bite, like you actually see the snake bite, and you can, within 1 minute, get a tourniquet on them, sure. If it's longer than that, call 911, try to keep the person awake, and get them antivenom as fast as possible. That is the only thing you can do.
Sorry.
I don't know how to answer this properly. It's ill-advised to ever have an answer in your life where sucking something out is like your go-to thing.
Yeah, because depending on the venom, it can cause them to pass out. So you can try and keep them awake and talking until help arrives at least, and try and monitor their vitals. It's just the biggest thing to do is if someone gets bitten by a venomous snake, is get 911 on the phone as fast as possible. That's any medical emergency. Get 911 on the phone as fast as possible. That is the first thing you should probably try to do. Or, if there's more than one of you around and you know what to do with the patient, you tell someone else. You point at someone else and say, you call 911. Take control. Give that person something to do. Tell them to call 911, and you can render aid with whatever skills that you have. But getting 911 on the phone is incredibly important. That is the first and or second thing you need to do is start getting paramedics en route to your location.
Food coloring into a cup of water.
Right.
It's very difficult to get it back together. It's impossible to get it all out. So the same applies for venom on a snake bite. Once it's in.
I'm sorry, but this is a terrible analogy. Putting food coloring into a sitting cup of water, this is a bad analogy. Your blood is not sitting static. Your blood is constantly moving. A better analogy would have been to have showing like a slow pour from a jug and then drip the food coloring in as the water's pouring. Because that's literally how fast your blood is moving.
It's in the bloodstream, it's gonna circulate, so it's really not gonna do much. The other thing is, stay away from putting any kind of tourniquet. It's gonna create more damage than what it's gonna help.
If someone's gonna be bit by a venomous snake, sucking on the wound, you're gonna get such a minimal.
Okay, so they're saying don't use a tourniquet. They may be going off the same principle that I'm thinking of, which is, if you can't get to that person immediately, a tourniquet is not going to help because the venom is already spreading. I'm wondering if that may be why she said avoid a tourniquet because it's going to cause more damage than it helps. Because if you're not sitting right there when the snake bites and are literally on it in a heartbeat, applying a tourniquet, the tourniquet will not help. So she didn't say specifically, but I'm wondering if that is her mindset. And yes, that is the other thing with a tourniquet. A tourniquet cuts off the blood flow to the limb that you are applying it to. So a tourniquet is typically used in dire situations where no, Ragat, bloodletting would not work. Not at all. Even if there is no acting fast enough, bloodletting will not work. Antivenom is what works. That's what works. Yeah, Alex, trying to keep the heart rate down certainly could help. Granted, in that kind of situation, it would be incredibly difficult. With a snake bite, the biggest thing is getting the medical attention as fast as humanly possible. That is the number one thing to do. Get the medical attention so they can get antivenom into it. That's it. That is the number one thing with a venomous snake bite to do, is call for help and get that antivenom into them.
Small amount out, it's not going to do anything, and then you leave them exposed to infection because
it doesn't
your mouth is probably dirty.
Alex, it won't necessarily slow the spread. It will perhaps mitigate it because the heart is not pumping as fast and thus causing the blood to flow faster than normal. So it's more of a mitigating the spread. Obviously it's going to spread as a regardless, but you try and keep them calm so the blood flow is of normal speed instead of a heightened speed because of a racing heart. Yeah, and Alex, yeah, I'm probably just being very verbose in that. You are right. What you said is basically by slowing the spread to keep the heart rate down. I'm being yappy. So yes, what you said is correct, and I was being yappy about clarifying it. Okay?
If you encounter someone who's had a venomous, keyword venomous, snake bite, you definitely want to call 911 as soon as possible and get that patient to the hospital. You want to go to a venom center or a bite center. And it's particularly a hospital that has all kinds of antivenoms, antidotes for this kind of incident.
And Alex, that is true. Snakes can do dry bites, but if you get bitten by a snake, like say it's a rattlesnake, and we know rattlesnakes are venomous, don't take the chance. Because your chances are not going to be able to tell if it was a dry bite or not. You don't want to go, oh, well, maybe it was a dry bite. No. You get bitten by a snake, call for help, and tell them you were bitten possibly by a venomous snake. That way, it's better to be over-prepared with antivenom and not need it than to just go, oh, it was probably just a dry bite and receive no care and expire because you were poisoned or you were injected with venom. Oh, Shadows, it's possible that I've seen it, but yeah, snake milking is undoubtedly one of those dangerous jobs.
CPR requires mouth-to-mouth.
CPR does not require mouth-to-mouth. There are procedures of just doing chest compressions that allow you to make sure that blood's circulating through the whole body to get oxygenated blood to the brain. That's the goal. It buys you time for us paramedics to show up.
A couple years.
Now, again, I'm going to do a gimme here. I am going to do a gimme for them. CPR training by the American Red Cross for first aid responders has always been chest compressions and mouth-to-mouth. That has changed, and I don't know if the Red Cross in teaching civilians CPR have adjusted their teachings. Now it's just chest compressions. The mouth-to-mouth is secondary these days. And it's all about the chest compressions to keep the heart beating. So a little bit of a gimme there because, what is it? 13
I live in
and 2?
rattlesnake territory. We don't fuck around with risks.
Wise decision, McCargo. Very wise decision. So we were taught only compressions, right? So yeah, like maybe they have all maybe the civilian teaching has altered it now, where with CPR, thank you, War, that they've switched it up with to focus on the chest compressions. They switched open. Well, Vanilla, it all depends if you have one of those. If you don't have one of those, they focus on only the chest compressions. Like back in the day, I think it was 30 chest compressions to 2 breaths. It's 30 and 2. For a child, it was, I can't remember if it was 12 or 15 and 2. And for an infant, it was like 5 and 2, I think. So old school CPR training was chest compressions and rescue breaths. But now it's, they focus on just keeping the heart beating, not worrying about the rescue breaths. But I guess maybe if you have 2 people, like if it's only you, like if it's a 1-person rescue, then it's just focus on the chest compressions, keep pumping away at that chest. If there's 2 people, then maybe do the 30 and 2. Have 1 person on the chest compressions doing, 30 chest compressions, and every 30 chest compressions, the second person will do 2 rescue breaths. So I think it all depends on how many people are there to help, I think is the definitive.
Years back, CPR was required mouth to mouth, but do you really want to put your mouth on a total complete stranger? The American Heart Association and everyone else who teaches CPR have been doing a strong emphasis on hands only. It eliminates the transmission of any communicable diseases or anything along those lines.
To do CPR properly, you're going to want to expose the chest down so you have access to the bare chest. Palm your hand, center of the chest. You're going to wrap your fingers around each other, and then you're just going to push straight down. For an adult, it's about 2 inches or so, but basically just gonna keep that going on for 100 beats per minute. There is a song that we utilize all the time. Historically, we use Staying Alive.
Staying Alive.
Staying Alive.
Chat, do you notice where Michael Scott's hand is right now? Where is Michael Scott's hand? Where are his hands located? He's on the fucker's throats. He's doing chest compressions on the throat. No, of course you wouldn't see any issue in it, Zeb.
Staying alive.
So when you're doing CPR, the main thing you want to just maintain is that those compressions are going to be consistent. Anytime you stop, that threshold goes down. It causes a huge amount of detriments to the body. You got to start doing it immediately. You got like 6 minutes before you have irreversible damage to the brain. So start CPR quick, give him a good shot.
After getting stabbed, take out the sharp object from the body.
Yep.
This is from movies.
I'd say it's from movies and from just people being reactionary. Yeah. If you get stabbed, leave the fucking thing alone. Because there is an excellent chance that whatever object you have been stabbed with is actually keeping you from bleeding out. Yeah, if you pull the object out of you, it will either cause more bleeding or significantly increase the bleeding. Atanashi, I'll tell you how. You keep kicking ass with this object stuck in you. That's how you look like a badass if you don't pull it out. You just keep fighting and keep beating the crap out of people with this whatever sticking out of you. There you go. Yeah, the best course of action, which they'll probably say, is to stabilize it. So basically just packing around the object and try and hold it in place, like bind it in place somehow, and keep that object stabilized so it's not moving around as best you can. You may come into a situation where it's not going to be perfect. We're not looking at perfect situations. You just try and stabilize it as best you can and secure that stabilization material in place until medics can arrive. And that's, that's the best that you can do. Oh, well, actually, perfect example. Like, if you get stuck in an artery, pulling that item out of the wound will cause that artery to just start pumping blood out at an alarming rate and just drain your body of blood. Keeping that object in and stabilized effectively seals that wound. It's basically like a stopper on a vial. You pull that out, you've pulled out the stopper in a vial, and you're going to have red liquid pouring out of you, potentially. So yeah, never put, if God forbid anybody gets stabbed, leave it in, stabilize it, and get help there to get them to a hospital. That's always the answer, is to get them to a hospital fast, but stabilize it.
This is stupid. Don't do this.
Do not remove it. You will cause a lot more tissue damage.
Yes.
And
Tanashi, excellent example. Scott. Granted, he wasn't stabbed, he suffered an explosion that basically tore his artery, but he literally, because he stuck his thumb in it, was able to stem the flow of blood from his brachial artery and was able to survive. Because he stemmed the blood flow with his thumb, he was able to survive. So it's the perfect example. Alex, I've never really dove much into Steve Irwin's injuries. I'm not sure he would have survived if he hadn't pulled the Stingray barb out, because I think that the venom had already gotten into his bloodstream. I'm not sure though. Like I said, I have not looked into his injuries, so I'm not sure.
cause a lot more bleeding. So please, I stress this, please do not remove it. Leave it in place.
You should stabilize it so it doesn't go wiggling around inside, because any kind of movement to the foreign object
Will create more damage.
It's great in movies, though. It's hysterical.
Drama effect.
Yeah. It could create more damage, or it could fall out and thus open up that wound. So again, you are trying to keep the wound sealed. You don't want it wiggling around because that can create more damage and create a lot of fucking pain. But you also want to try and prevent it from getting ejected and then causing significant blood loss. And always Red Panda, thank you for the follow.
Why?
No.
I don't get it. You have to be medically trained to use a defibrillator. It'll make you feel more confident, but...
Nope. Untrue. Completely untrue. There are AEDs in many civilian locations. You do not need to be trained at all. The civilian model AEDs come with instructions. They are very simple. With a civilian model AED, it literally shows on the pads themselves. It shows you what to do, and the AED itself, when you apply the pads, will not shock someone unless it registers a shockable rhythm. So the pads actually show you where to put them on the body. You turn the thing on. The AED actually broadcasts. It says, checking for shock. And if it detects a shockable rhythm with the pads, it will say, shock advised, and a big fucking button with a lightning bolt lights up and basically says, go ahead and shock. You push the button, it shocks, and then the AED will say, continue CPR. You continue CPR, and then the AED literally walks you through CPR and the defibrillation process. It holds your hand the entire time. The only thing you need to do is apply the shock pads where the pictures show you to put it, and then just listen to the AED. It will literally, it is an instructor walking you through the entire time. And you need zero medical training. Well, yes, that's why the AED will literally say, stand clear, and then shock. Like I said, it'll metaphorically hold your hand through the entire process. I don't know, the AED probably does not stay clear. I think it just says stand clear, And then when it shocks, I think the AED says shocking. And that's what it does. Good. Okay, have a good night, Fox. Yeah, Shriek, that's what I'm talking about. You put the pads on, you turn it on, and it will tell you what to do. It tells you exactly what to do. Well, okay, so AED is, no shouts. No, that is incorrect. That is incorrect. AED is the same as a defibrillator. AED literally is an abbreviation for automatic electronic defibrillator. It is a fallacy that if you have a stopped heart, that a defibrillator will start it. That is a falsehood. That is a Hollywood falsehood. A shock will not restart your heart. Your heart needs to actually still have some kind of a rhythm. Hence the fibrillation. Fibrillation means that the heart is still functioning, but it is not beating properly. That's why in medical shows you've heard AFib and defib. It means the heart is fibrillating, which means it's like, it's not pumping, it's like vibrating or shivering, but not actually pumping. The purpose of the defibrillator is to send an electrical charge in the heart to shock it to put it into the correct rhythm. It is not shocking a non-beating heart does nothing. It does absolutely nothing to send an electrical charge through a heart that is not beating whatsoever. It does nothing.
You really don't. What you see out there, they're not actually defibrillators like you see in the movies. Paddles and all that craziness. They don't do that.
Let's show them.
Okay, so this is an AED. This is an automatic external defibrillator.
A defibrillator basically shocks the heart. All municipal buildings have these in every location.
Oh God, I said electrical, didn't I? Yeah, it's automatic external defibrillator. I said electronic. I'm sorry, I don't know why the hell I said electronic. It's external defibrillator.
At this point, Ember should write a WikiHow book on a lot of knowledge she has about everything. It's pretty cool. Cheer 100.
Thank you, Revan. I've got some knowledge about a lot of things. I am by no means an expert, but throughout my life, I've taken in some knowledge about many things.
So the best thing about defibrillators is that anyone can use them. All you have to do is open it up and press the power button, and it will literally tell you step by step what needs to be done.
Open it up.
Adult mode. Remove all clothing from patient's chest.
Oh, this one's even better than the ones I've heard about.
Pictures on pads.
There are photos to show you exactly where you're supposed to put these things on.
You want to use this as quickly as possible once you know the person is in cardiac arrest. If the person is unresponsive, but you're not sure, you still want to use this and put it on the patient's chest. If the patient's still alive, it will tell you not to shock.
Analyzing heart rhythm. Provide chest compressions to the beat.
Thank you for the follow, Phantom Star.
Don't be afraid to ask someone to go get the defibrillator or the AED. Put butter on a burn to heal it.
What? Put butter on a burn? I don't think I've ever heard about this. Why would you put butter on a burn? The only rationalization I can think for this, this is the only rationalization I can think of why this would be a thing. Butter is in the fridge, and thus it's cold. That is the only rationalization I can think that someone would suggest this. You should, honestly, Ruff, you shouldn't even use burn ointment. On a fresh burn, you should not put anything on it. That's the, the one thing, and, classic cosplayer, thank you for the follow. The one thing that you should do is do a light dressing of some sort over the burn. Because don't forget, burns, when you receive a burn, that is an avenue for heat to leave your body. That's a big concern with burn victims, is that they are losing heat at a very rapid pace. So the best course of action is to have a light, clean dressing covering the burn to try and stave off any external infection from the air. So just a light, clean dressing, and let the paramedics come in and get the patient and get them to the hospital where they can be properly treated by medical personnel. There's really nothing more to that. Now, again, we're talking about significant burns. If you like, ow, I burned my hand on the stove. Okay, yeah, you run it underwater, sure. That's fine. But we're talking about like second and third degree burns. First, that's what we're talking about. Someone fell in the grill and burned his buttocks. Classy tornado, very classy. Now, this is more in relation to burns of what I'm speaking of anyway. Is where you're talking about burns that is basically torn apart the upper layers of the skin and is basically burned off the epidermis, and we're getting into the subdermal tissue that is exposed. That's where I'm talking about. You don't want to pour water on it. You damn sure don't want to put butter or ointment on it. You want to actually just do the clean dressing, and that's it. And yeah, I said that. I did say second and third degree burns. Cold water is actually not a good thing for a second degree burn, because it's causing heat to leave your body. Because again, a burn is an avenue for heat to escape from your body faster. Pouring cold water on it is only going to make you colder faster.
What are you, a piece of toast? That would be a no. You do not put butter on a burn. It's gonna trap the heat. And ultimately, the heat is gonna keep radiating, so it will continue to burn.
Basically, you want to stop the burning process, no matter what it is. It could be a first degree burn to a third degree burn. You want to just eliminate that, right? So just cool water.
Keyword cool, not cold. You just want to keep it clean.
Like, they're saying to do it on second and third degree. I guess like third degree, I mean, they're paramedics, so obviously I'm not gonna say like, oh, they're full of shit. It sounds weird to me whenever I received. Yeah, well, stop. Okay, so this is maybe going on the assumption that the burnings. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting myself all mixed up. Yeah. I suppose so. I might just be like thinking ahead on it. Yeah, and machines. I think that's where my brain was going too. It's like, okay, cool water if the source is still burning you. I'm thinking if the source of the burning is not there anymore, then you may not necessarily want to do cold water on it, and you just do the clean dressing to prevent infection while you get them help. Yeah. So, I mean, she did say to stop the burning. And, yeah, if this is, like, fresh, if it just happened, and you're right there, yeah, you can basically hit it with some cool water to stop the immediate burn, and then after that, don't keep using water. It's like, you basically hit it with some cool water initially, and then don't keep soaking it in water. That's when you do the dressing. So it's like, that's where it's... No, what? Beats, I hope you're joking. I really hope you're joking about that.
Sterile and cool it down. Seek medical care.
If you get frostbite on your hands, rub them together to warm them up.
Ooh, I would say you don't want to do that.
We went from hot to cold.
Well, and if you get frostbite, you're going to tear your skin up if you do that. If you get frostbite and rub your hands together, you're going to actually tear up your skin. if you get frostbite. It's... Oh, yeah, Revan. Uh-huh. It's... I'll let them cook in this. Frostbite, I haven't really gotten too much extensively in on, so I'll let them see what their opinion is on this, and we'll go.
Yeah,
from
we
there.
did go from hot to cold. If you do have frostbite on your fingertips or toes, which is usually where it starts, you never want to rub them. The friction will cause more damage to the skin tissue and the cells
That
below
much I did
it.
know.
So you want to warm them up slowly, coming into a warmer environment, taking off any wet clothing on it, and just gradually warming it up.
So how
Okay, so to that vein, chat, do you know where the two places on your body that you can basically place your hands if they are like so cold there's a concern about frostbite? Do you know what you can do to, if you do not have immediate access? Yes, Revan, Wolfie, correct. Your armpits, not the knee pit. I would say not the knee pit stray cell because that's just going to be awkward. The easiest thing is the armpit and the groin. That is correct. So either stick your hands underneath your arms or shove them down your pants. Yes, that is that for an immediate assistance on it until you can get somewhere warm. Yes. That is either in the armpits or down the pants, basically. Correct.
How do you know the difference, though, between just being cold and having frostbite? You'll have this waxy type deal on your hands. Your hands are going to be a little more puffy. Basically, you're going to be blistered up. Imagine like just a really bad burn, except the opposite because it's cold.
Once you cross that frostbite threshold, it's something that you definitely need to go to the emergency room to be treated by a physician because the amount of damage that can be done by treating it incorrectly can be irreversible.
You should clean your wounds with rubbing alcohol.
Ouch!
Yeah, if you are a masochist, you can clean it with rubbing alcohol. Oh, God. Yeah, correct yourself. You can, if you want to experience a sharp knife-like pain. I mean, the rubbing alcohol will kill the bacteria around the wound, but it's gonna hurt like a motherfucker. Yeah, peroxide and iodine is your best options for it. Absolutely. Like, rubbing alcohol is not going to hurt, is not going to cause damage. That's the thing. Like, using rubbing alcohol will not cause damage.
Cheer 100. I use rubbing alcohol until the burning stops.
Good luck with that. It's, well, isn't it? It's not bad. It's peroxide. Like, if you overuse it, perhaps it can. Peroxide is good as a way to clean or flush a wound, and to clean it. If you overuse it, possibly, sure, but peroxide is used for cleaning out a wound. Yeah, it will destroy blood cells at the site. It's not going to do significant long-term damage or anything. But yeah, rubbing alcohol is not going to cause damage. It's just going to hurt like a son of a bitch.
Ow.
I'm sorry, this is painful just to think about it, and that would be a no. Rubbing alcohol is gonna be very painful. So please stay away from rubbing alcohol. Just simple soap and water. If you have antibacterial soap, even better.
It cleans it, sure, but why go through the trouble of like actually hurting yourself essentially? You also want to make sure that the wound stays moist, and alcohol has this drying property that's not going to be conducive to healing anyway.
Keep it simple. Soap and water. If it's an abrasion, a simple cut, a day or two with a Band-Aid is always good just to control whatever bleeding you have. That's the main key.
That, or you could use, oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting what the word for this. Neosporin or polysporin, depending on where you're located. Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. Yeah, you can use Neosporin or polysporin. Just basically, if you got a small cut, put some Neosporin on it, Band-Aid on top of it. The Neosporin actually has pain management properties. I don't think it's quite lidocaine, or I think it's like, I think it has like a tiny bit of lidocaine to ease the pain. So, soap and water, sure, would be great. Soap and water, a little bit of Neosporin, Band-Aid, and you'll be fine. Anything more serious, you need to go to the hospital anyway.
You want to do the triple antibiotic and let it get free.
There you go.
The air will actually help stimulate scabbing, and scabbing is a natural barrier that the body creates, so it can heal and regenerate. Wow, cardiac arrest and a heart attack are the same thing.
They're not the same thing. Cardiac arrest means that your heart stopped.
They are no longer conscious, they are no longer breathing, and their heart is no longer beating. So this is where CPR comes into play.
Heart attack, you have an occlusion in your heart.
The heart is starving for air, causing...
Basically, the easiest way to identify these, if they're still talking, it's a heart attack. If they're unconscious, it's cardiac arrest. That is the simplest definition that anybody can give you to define the two of them. Heart attack, awake and talking, and probably in a lot of pain. Cardiac arrest, they're unconscious, and they ain't talking. And you need to do CPR fast.
The chest pain. You have the ability to get to the hospital. You'll have shortness of breath. You'll be diaphoretic, which means really, really sweaty. All classic signs of a heart attack. Not everyone will have the same symptoms. So remember, call 911 for either one.
If you win.
And by the way, so cardiac arrest is an actual medical term. Cardiac arrest. The actual medical term for a heart attack is a myocardial infarction. Not the same as cardiac arrest, is it? And myocardial infarction means, from the Latin that it was derived from, means a blockage of the myocardial valves. So, heart attack is just the layman terminology that is commonly used. So even the medical terminology is different. So yeah, obviously not the same thing.
When it's a drug overdose, put the person in the
cardiac
shower
tamponade,
or
yes.
bath. No, because one, you have no idea what the person overdosed on. Any kind of dramatic change to someone.
Hang on, I missed this. If you witness an overdose, put the person in the shower. Oh God. Oh God, put someone in. Yeah, if you want to drown them, put someone who's overdosed in the bath.
No, because one, you have no idea what the person overdosed on. Any kind of dramatic change to someone's temperature will throw the homeostasis of the body all out of whack. What does that mean? Your body has a regulation of temperature. You can't go into any extremes quickly.
Yeah, it just makes getting the patient out and treated
Well,
a
Ark, you're
lot
not
more
entirely
difficult.
wrong. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me, how accessible is Narcan on the civilian market? Like, how easily can you as a civilian, not medical personnel, get Narcan? Is that like, are you actually, is it over the counter? It is. Okay. I was not aware of that. Okay, it's $50 a bottle, and it's just about at every pharmacy. Okay. Okay, this is like not something that's been a concern for me, so I've never even looked into it. So so that kind of tells you how bad serious drug ODs are in, like, at least the States. Yeah, and Revan, like, I have heard that there was like they put up like not like vending machines, but there's like these stations that are set up for people that are homeless, and that they have things like clean clothes, but also Narcan in them and like a place to like get rid of like empty needles and stuff. Yeah, I've heard that it's gone into like rescue type dispensaries that some places are setting up in places that have like high homeless and drug population issues.
They're like in a bathtub and wet. And we as paramedics carry stuff such as Narcan to help counteract any narcotic overdoses.
Specifically for opioid overdoses.
But we also have other drugs that help with other types of overdoses. So please make sure, don't lie about what you took.
That makes it way harder for us, because if you took drug A and you tell us it was drug B, we're gonna go the wrong route and the treatment will get skewed. And
Phantom Star, thank you for the prime.
and we'll figure it out eventually.
Oh yeah, I know,
but then
Shadows.
we have to backtrack and then go that route. It's very dangerous.
So, no shower. This is debunked.
Look at all these myths. The intention is there. Everyone wants to help somebody else. That's great, but you're going to want to get a little education on your back end. Take a first aid class. You don't have to go to level EMT and paramedic.
And who knows? You might be somebody's hero one day.
Also, Ember, how do you feel about the awkwardness about a guy having to perform CPR on a random unconscious woman? That sounds like a sketchy situation. Cheer 100.
Revan, if someone is unconscious and it has no heartbeat and needs CPR, I don't care who does it. I don't care if it's a man giving CPR to a woman. I don't care if it's a woman giving CPR to a man. I don't care if it's a man giving CPR to a man and a woman giving CPR to a woman. I do not fucking care. This is a medical emergency. You do not have time to worry about, oh, am I going to be accused of inappropriately touching someone? The fact that that question, and no, Revan, I'm not like going after you on this one or anything. I'm just speaking broadly here. The fact that that question even needs to be asked now is a commentary on how fucked up we as a society have become. Where if a woman is unconscious with no heartbeat and needs CPR, that people will stop and say, how is it going to look if I as a man give this woman CPR? How is it going to look for me? The fact that people actually do legitimately ask that question of themselves instead of immediately jumping to help is pathetic. It shows a pathetic state of our society. And Rygat, that's exactly why. Yes, a man gives, we'll just do the man and woman scenario. The man gives a woman CPR because her heart is stopped. And then when she recovers, she sues that man basically for saving her life. That is a sad, pathetic, and absolute dog shit way that society has changed. And it's why people do not jump in to help anymore. Yes, there are laws to protect you. There is the Good Samaritan law that can protect you. However, there are people that will still try to sue you for it. And you may still have to spend money defending yourself, even with the Good Samaritan law in effect. That's the thing. Yes, the Good Samaritan law is there to protect you. You still have to defend yourself from the accusations by spending money on a lawyer. So while you may not end up going to jail or having to pay money for a civil suit, because the Good Samaritan law protects you, you still need a lawyer to make that case for you in court. It's not a situation where someone files that suit or those charges and the court looks at it and says, well, no, this doesn't need to come before me. It's obviously Good Samaritan. It doesn't work that way. It still has to go in front of the judge, and you still have to defend yourself. Even though you have the Good Samaritan law on your side, you still need to go through the process, and you still have to spend the money for a lawyer to defend you. That's the problem. And the fact that the way that shit works like this, and now people literally will come across a situation where they can help, but they stop and they go, is it safe for me to help, or am I going to get in trouble for helping? That is a legitimate concern, that people have now when it comes to helping someone in need. They don't know if helping that person is going to come back and bite them.
Cheer 100 men have been charged and then found guilty for rendering aid to women before Ember.
I know, Total. I know. That's why I'm saying it's a very sad state of affairs that people stop and don't immediately help because of exactly that. Yes, you have good Samaritan laws to protect you, but you have also had people that were actually criminally charged and found guilty. And people and you have the reading public going, why wouldn't anyone help that person? There's your answer. Because helping them is no longer about being a good person anymore.